Today we're taking a look around a small area at the back of Smithills Hall Park. It's nowhere near as popular as the hall itself, but it's well known for locals. As you can see, we're in the northwest and we're actually in the north of Bolton on the southern slopes of Winter Hill. This area was known for coal mining, and there's some mining remains that we can look at here. And also the old kitchen gardens of Smithills Hall that's now lost and overgrown. So this path that we're looking at now is actually a connecting bit of track between two old tramways that were used to bring coal out of the mines. So it's the top tram road that we're looking at, and we're actually on the connecting path at the moment where the big letter E is. The tram road seems to have terminated at the bleach works at Halliwell. So we're walking just parallel to Smithills Road here, and interestingly there's an old fence beside the road, and its posts are actually made from the chopped up tram lines, and I think you can see better on the cross section. And here, this is a stone sleeper that they had in pairs under the track. So coming in from the left, the red arrow, that's the tram road, and we're on the connecting bit, the blue one, and they both carry on. Here's an embankment or causeway that they've built to carry the tram road. There's a nice little stone-lined culvert underneath, and it goes quite a long way coming out at the dog kennel plantation. So the tram road came along here, and sometimes we've got this dry stone wall, and sometimes it looks like they've made a sort of causeway for the tram road to go along. There's also this flat section of land next to the field boundary. There's lots of little ponds and streams around here. There's a lot of springs and also water coming down off the hill that they've had to get rid of somehow. On the left here, there's a good clear section of the old tramway. On the right here is the ravine going down, and it looks like there must have been a bridge, and at some point it's been washed away. The tramway actually terminates at this nice little area below Horrocksfold Wood. So this is the scenic bit as we go down into Ravedon Clough. Some nice fungi there on this tree. Very muddy, quite slippy, but it's really nice. There's some good exposed bedrock look on the other side of the stream. So we're well into winter, but there's still some awesome colour off these beech leaves. In the next part of the video, we're going to have a look around the old kitchen garden of Smithills Hall. Now, it's not shown on the 1840s map, but it is shown on the 1890s, so they must have added it at some point in between. Old folks call it the garden centre. I think there's a private plant nursery here in the 80s, and then in the 90s the council used it as a plant nursery and storage. A bit further on we can find this old tank and water system. So they collected water from the springs and then stored it in these tanks here, and then it could be used in the gardens, which are just lower down. The first bit we'll come to is the ruins of the old gardener's cottage. I think it was still standing in the early 2000s, but I'm not sure. I think this was an open area and the cottage was on the left there. I think there might have been some outbuildings here. There's an old coal chute there if you look. I think we'd be looking at the front of the gardener's cottage there when it was standing. These overgrown parts on either side of the track here are shown as glass houses on the old map. We're actually looking down the central pathway. I think there was originally paths on either side and one down the middle. This is the back wall of the garden, and you can see the iron pipe that's coming from the water tanks that we looked at earlier. If we just take a slight detour to the left here, we can see the embankment for the other tramway. and we'll go back to the gardens now. There's a nice stone arch in the wall here that we can go through. If I just tread into the undergrowth, not very nice, there's a lot of brambles and stuff in here. And what they've done is they've made a series of these concrete plinths going up the hillside, so they've got a flat area and they're in pairs, one on either side of the central track. You'll see in here some brick structures and also some stone walls. I'm not sure what's original. There's a little brick wall, I think that might have been a raised bed. We'll just come out now onto the central pathway. There's no wall on this bottom side, but there's a lot of rubble past this flat area on the left. Now there's one thing I wanted to look at, just back up a bit, and that's this weird pole. I used to think it was something to do with the tramways. In fact, I think it's like a camera and floodlight pole from the 1980s. And we can see here there's some brick and stone structures. It's pretty much the same on either side, like a flat concrete plinth, and you can see they've done several of them going up in steps. Coming out of there, this is the Ravedon Clough again, and there's actually a tiny waterfall up at the top of here. This is Ravedon Brook going down towards what was the nature trail in Smithills Hall Park. There's some quite interesting stone gateposts here, as you can see they're carved. This one's missing the top bit. They've got flats on two of the sides, so it perhaps built against a wall or something. However, the other side looks a lot like a cactus. Once through the gate, following the tramway again, and on the left here there's an interesting conical mound with trees around the top. When I was a kid I thought it was a prehistoric burial mound. It's actually some water tanks that have been buried, and they would have been the water supply for the old Smithills Hall. As you can see there's a stone trough on top, and this thing here might be the top of the well. So looking down, you've got Smithills Hall hidden in the trees, and then to the left there's what was the Cottage in-house. It's now residential properties. These trees on the left are the dog kennel plantation, where the old kennels were for Smithills Hall. as you can see, it's quite an interesting little area.